In an age when the mountains kissed the heavens and rivers sang to the moon, the world thrived under the guardianship of 4 ancient clans. Each clan, born of celestial forces, embodied a pillar of creation: the steadfast earth, the boundless skies, the eternal sun, and the enigmatic shadows. For millennia, their harmony wove the tapestry of life, until ambition poisoned the loom. Nestled in the Jade Valley, where emerald forests hummed with life and crystal springs healed all wounds, the Qilin clan revered the sanctity of the land. Their elders, antlers crowned with blooming vines, communed with spirits of soil and stone. Warriors wielded staves carved from ancient trees, shaping terraces and calming quakes with a touch. The Qilin chief, Míng, was a visionary who believed strength lay in nurturing, not conquering. "To harm the earth is to bleed our own souls," she declared, her voice as steady as bedrock. But whispers lingered of a time when the Qilin's wrath had sundered mountains, a power now dormant, locked away by oath. The Qilin clan, guardians of the earth. Above the mist-cloaked lake of whispers, the Dragon clan dwelled in palaces of jade and pearl, their spires piercing the clouds. They rode tempests like steeds, their scales glinting with captured lightning. Scholars in silk robes chronicled the stars, while generals trained warriors to harness typhoons. The dragon chief, Long Wei, was a tempest incarnate, proud, ambitious, and fiercely protective of his people. "The sky boasts to no one," he thundered, his gaze as sharp as a monsoon's edge. "Yet storms, once unleashed, are hard to tame." The Chinese Dragon clan, masters of sky and storm. On the volcanic slopes of Crimson Peak, the Vermilion Bird clan kindled flames that never died. Their knights, armored in molten gold, bore swords wreathed in solar fire, and priests chanted hymns to the dawn. The clan's matriarch, Zhu Hua, was a warrior poet whose wings blazed with the fury of 1,000 sunsets. "Light cannot exist without shadow," she warned, her eyes reflecting the forge's glow. "But even fire fears the void." The Vermilion Bird clan, keepers of the sun. In the Obsidian Marsh, where fog choked the light and venom pooled in stagnant waters, the Black Serpent Clan once safeguarded secrets. Masters of alchemy and stealth, they balanced darkness and light, their loyalty sworn to equilibrium. But under Lord Sun, a sorcerer king with eyes like smoldering coal, the clan grew hungry. Sun craved dominance, spurning the great accord that bound the clans. "Why bow to balance," he hissed, "when chaos breeds kings?" His disciples resurrected the Hundun, a primordial serpent of chaos, its 3 heads spewing poison, discord, and oblivion. The Black Serpent Clan, weavers of shadows. Every century, the clans gathered at the sacred grove to renew their pact. The Festival of Blossoms was a spectacle of unity. Qilin shamans danced with earth spirits, dragon scholars floated lanterns inscribed with storm runes, and Vermilion knights staged duels of cascading fire. Even the black serpents attended, though their shadow puppets cast uneasy silhouettes. It was here, beneath a cherry tree whose petals glowed like starlight, that 2 children forged a bond that would unravel the world. Li Wei, the dragon heir, was a boy of 10 with storm-gray eyes and a laugh like rolling thunder. Mei Lin, the Qilin princess, had moss-green braids and hands that coaxed flowers from stone. They met by chance, chasing a mischievous forest spirit into the grove. "You're the dragon boy," Mei Lin said, eyeing his silken robes. "Aren't you supposed to be scary?" Li Wei puffed his chest. "I'll ride a typhoon someday." "What can you do?" She pressed her palm to the earth. A lotus bloomed at his feet, its petals shimmering with dew. "I talked to the world," she said softly. They spent the festival racing through meadows, Li Wei summoning gusts to lift her higher, Mei Lin weaving crowns of ivy. When elders scolded them for mingling, they hid in hollow trees, vowing to meet again. Someday, Li Wei said, we'll make the clan see. Balance isn't about staying apart, it's about coming together. Mei Lin tucked a jade pendant into his hand, carved with Qilin runes. Promise? The Qilin Valley awoke in a symphony of color and scent, the air thick with the perfume of peach blossoms and freshly tilled earth. Silk banners and hues of jade and ivory fluttered above terraced gardens, where earth-weavers knelt with their staves, coaxing vines into blooming arches that glittered with morning dew. 16-year-old Mei Lin stood at the edge of the ceremonial platform, her ivory robes whispering against her ankles as she adjusted the dragon-shaped pendant hidden beneath her sash, a secret token from Li Wei, heir to the Dragon Clan. Princess. A stern voice cut through the hum of preparation. Her father, Chief Yuan, approached, his terraforming staff pulsing with jade light. His gaze lingered on the distant storm clouds gathering beyond the valley. The dragons come. Remember your duty. Mei Lin bowed, her fingers tightening around the pendant. I will not dishonor our clan, father. But as he turned away, her eyes strayed to the horizon, where azure banners rippled like liquid sky. Li Wei. The storm drums began at noon. Thunder rumbled, not from the heavens but from the throats of colossal serpents carved from living cloud, a display of Dragon Clan mastery. Warriors descended on tempests, their armor forged from lightning-imbued steel, while scholars floated atop scrolls inscribed with celestial maps. At their forefront stood Li Wei, his storm-forged pauldrons gleaming, his jet-black hair tied high with a leather cord. His storm-gray eyes met Mei Lin's across the valley, and for a heartbeat, the world stilled. Show-offs, muttered Ying Yu, Mei Lin's sharp-tongued handmaiden, as she adjusted the princess's sash. All that noise to remind us they control the reins. Mei Lin said nothing. Her pulse quickened as Li Wei's retinue landed, their leader exchanging formal greetings with Chief Yuan. The chief's handshake was ice polite, their smiles knives sheathed in silk. May this festival renew our accord, Chief Yuan said, his voice brittle, and may the storms bless your harvests, replied Dragon Chief Long, Li Wei's father, his gaze lingering on the Qilin's lush fields. As twilight painted the valley in gold and violet, Mei Lin slipped into the whispering woods. Fireflies winked like fallen stars among ancient trees, their roots humming with the valley's heartbeat. She found Li Wei beneath the sentinel tree, its bark etched with generations of lovers' vows. You came, he said, his voice a blend of relief and mischief. Up close, she saw the fatigue in his eyes, the weight of his father's ambitions, always. She touched the dragon scale at her throat. But we risk much. Li Wei stepped closer, the storm scent of ozone clinging to him. My father speaks of annexing your western fields. He claims the Qilin hoard fertile land while dragons starve. Mei Lin's breath hitched. Lies. Our crops wither from blight, we barely feed ourselves. I know. He gripped her hand, his calloused fingers warm. But the Black Serpent Clan fans these flames. Their spies whisper poison in both our courts. A twig snapped. They froze, but it was only a fox spirit, its fur glowing faintly as it darted into the shadows. We must expose Sun's schemes, Mei Lin urged. If our clans fight, his serpents will feast on our corpses. Li Wei pressed a small scroll into her palm, a map of Black Serpent outposts. Meet me tomorrow. We'll find proof together. Their hands lingered, a silent promise. Unseen, a shadow quailed in the undergrowth. Lord Sun's spy, a lithe figure cloaked in scales, watched the lovers part. She retrieved a vial of black serpent venom and dripped it onto the roots of the sentinel tree, its leaves curling black. "Let their love be the spark," she hissed, echoing her master's words, "and their blood the kindling." At the festival's zenith, the clans performed the dance of unity. Qilin earthweavers spun terraced gardens into bloom, while dragon stormcallers threaded rainbows through the clouds. Mei Lin and Li Wei were thrust into the ritual's center, their hands clasped for tradition's sake. Her fingers trembled in his grip. "Your father watches," she whispered, forcing a smile for the crowd. "Let him." Li Wei's thumb brushed her wrist, hidden by their sleeves. "This dance bound our ancestors in peace. Let it bind us too." They stepped in harmony, Mei Lin's robe swirling like wind-kissed petals, Li Wei's storm magic flickering at his heels. For a moment, the valley held its breath, two heirs, two clans, moving as one, but as the dance ended, Chief Yuan's voice sliced the applause. "A pretty display. But storms destroy as easily as they nourish." Li Wei's jaw tightened. "And earth smothers as easily as it nurtures." The crowd murmured. Mei Lin's chest ached. Later, beneath a moon veiled by clouds, Li Wei met Mei Lin at the valley's sacred spring. He pressed a jade hairpin into her hand, a twin to the one in his own hair. "No more secrets," he vowed. "We'll bring the truth to light, even if it costs us everything." She kissed him, the taste of storm and earth mingling on her lips. "Then we fall together." Far away, in the obsidian marsh, Lord Sun smiled as his spy returned. He traced the sentinel tree's blighted leaf, now crumbling in his palm. Soon, he whispered to the Hundan's coiled statue, "The hybrid child will rise. And the clans will burn." The air in the marsh clung thick and cloying, reeking of rotting vegetation and iron-rich sludge. Bioluminescent fungi glowed faintly along the twisted roots of mangroves, their sickly blue light reflecting off stagnant pools choked with algae. Lord Sun knelt at the heart of the fan, his black shiny robes blending into the gloom as if he were a shadow-given form. Before him loomed the altar of the Hundan, a coiled serpent carved from void stone, its obsidian scales drinking in the scant light. The statue's empty eye sockets seemed to follow Sun's every move, its jaws forever frozen in a silent scream. "Weilai zaini de yanjing zhong kaishi," Sun intoned, his voice a venomous rasp. "The future begins in your gaze." He laid his offerings on the altar, a lock of Mei Lin's hair, stolen from her pillow by a serpent-shaped breeze, and Li Wei's storm-charmed gauntlet, still crackling with residual lightning. The relics pulsed with the lovers' intertwined fates, a duality the Hundan craved. Sun slit his palm, letting his blood drip onto the stone. The marsh held its breath, then, the void stone moved. The Hundan's jaws creaked open, dislocating like a serpent's. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the earth as shadows pooled beneath the altar, twisting into vaporous tendrils that lashed at Sun's ankles. He did not flinch. "Their love is the spark," he hissed, pressing his bleeding hand to the serpent's brow. "Their blood, the kindling." The marsh erupted, trees bent backward, roots tearing free of the muck. The stagnant pools boiled, releasing clouds of putrid steam. Sun's sorcerers, hooded figures with scales etched into their cheeks, chanted in unison, their voices merging with the guttural growl of the awakening Hundan. "Chenma de Zhu, Tunchi Temen de Guang." "Silent Lord. Devour their light." A crack split the altar. From it oozed a viscous black liquid, alive with squirming shadows. It slithered towards Sun, wrapping around his wrists like shackles. His jade-green eyes flared as the Hundan's power flooded his veins, a cold, ancient hunger that gnawed at his sanity. "You fear the child," the Hundan whispered in his mind, its voice the scrape of scales on bone. "You fear he will unite them." I fear nothing, Sun snarled aloud, though his hands trembled. The hybrid will die screaming, and the clans will tear themselves apart. Beyond the ritual circle, half hidden in the mangroves, Jin, Sun's younger brother, watched. His fingers tightened around the hilt of his dagger, its blade engraved with the white tiger sigil their clan had abandoned decades ago. The scales on his cheeks itched, a reminder of the oath he'd sworn to Sun. And the one he'd made in secret. A hand gripped his shoulder. You hesitate, brother? Sun's voice dripped mockery as he materialized from the shadows, his robe streaked with marsh filth. The time for second thoughts is past. Jin swallowed. This ritual. It corrupts more than the land. I've seen the scouts. Their eyes see truth now, Sun interrupted. The clan's harmony is a lie. The Qilin horde, the dragons conquer, the vermilion preen, and we? We survive. The Hundan grants strength, not corruption. Jin's gaze fell to the white tiger hilt peeking from his sleeve. At what cost? Sun's smile was a knife. Everything. As midnight neared, the ritual's poison seeped beyond the marsh. In the Qilin Valley, Mei Lin jolted awake, her hand flying to the dragon pendant at her throat. The air tasted metallic, wrong. Outside her window, the sentinel tree, the same one where she'd met Li Wei hours prior, shuddered. Its leaves blackened and curled, falling like ash. Father! She raced to Chief Yuan's chamber, but the guards barred her way. The blight spreads, one muttered, avoiding her gaze. The dragon's doing. Far above, in the floating dragon skyhold, Li Wei stared at the gauntletless hands Sun's spies had left him. Storm callers buzzed like angry hornets, their tempests churning the clouds blood red. The Qilin attack us. Dragon Chief Long bellowed, slamming a fist on the council table. Their earth magic poisons our skies. Li Wei said nothing. He pocketed a shard of void stone he'd found lodged in his window, a shard that hummed with the same malevolence as Sun's marsh. Back in the obsidian marsh, Sun raised his arms, the Hundan's power coursing through him. The shadows coalesced into a colossal serpent, its body a living void that devoured the light. Go, he commanded. Whisper. Corrupt. Destroy. The shadow serpent dissolved into 1,000 tendrils, slithering into the earth, the water, the air. They seeped into dreams, twisting loyalties, amplifying fears. A Qilin farmer awoke convinced dragons had cursed as well. A dragon stormcaller swore he'd seen Qilin earthweavers burying serpent corpses, and in the forest grove where Granny Lan hid Míng, the barrier flickered. Míng, barely 9, stirred in his sleep. Outside, Granny Lan sang a lullaby to the trembling trees, her voice fraying with strain. Hashia de Haizi, ni de Mingjiang Baoqi women Anchuan. Child of harmony, your dreams will keep us safe. But the shadows pressed closer, hissing a name only the Hundan knew, Míng. The storm lashed the floating islands of the dragon skyhold, lightning fracturing the sky into jagged shards of white and violet. The ancient fortress, carved from thunderstruck basalt and anchored by chains of living lightning, groaned under the weight of the tempest. Within the council chamber, Li Wei stood before his father, Dragon Chief Long, his fists clenched at his sides. Rainwater dripped from his storm-forged armor, pooling at his feet like liquid defiance. The walls around them thrummed with ancestral carvings of dragons soaring through celestial battles, their gemstone eyes glowing faintly in the storm's eerie light. The Qilin accuse us of poisoning their crops. Li Wei's voice trembled with rage, his storm-gray eyes blazing. They claim our storms blight their fields. This is madness. Chief Long leaned back in his obsidian throne, fingers steepled beneath his chin. His laughter crackled like distant thunder, echoing off the chamber's vaulted ceiling. Madness? Their envy festers like rot. They hoard fertile lands while our people starve. He rose, his shadow stretching across the mosaics of conquering tempests that adorned the floor. We will take what they withhold. Li Wei's jaw tightened. Memories flashed, his father teaching him to ride the winds as a child, their laughter mingling with the roar of storms. Now, that same man seemed a stranger, his ambition a wildfire. The accord forbids it. We swore peace after the last great storm, the accord is parchment. Chief Long slammed his fist, lightning arcing from his gauntlet to scorch the floor. The smell of ozone filled the air. Parchment burns. Power endures. Outside, the storm roared in agreement, shaking the Skyhold's foundations. That night, Li Wei slipped into the Skyhold's archives, a labyrinthine vault hidden deep beneath the throne room. Moonlight seeped through cracks in the storm clouds, illuminating shelves stacked with celestial maps, stormcaller relics, and scrolls sealed with wax older than the accord itself. Dust clung to his robes as he traced a finger along a cracked leather spine labeled Treatise, Qilin Dragon Accord, Year 712, a sound, a whisper of scales on stone. Li Wei froze, hand drifting to the dagger at his hip. You shouldn't be here. Ying Yu, the dragon chief's sharp-tongued archivist, stepped from the shadows. Her amber eyes glinted like smoldering coals beneath a fringe of silver hair. A jagged scar ran from her temple to her jaw, a relic of the last great storm. Your father would flay me alive if he knew I let you pry. Li Wei met her gaze. You've seen it too, haven't you? The blight isn't natural. The Qilin's crops don't wither, they rot. Ying Yu hesitated, then gestured to a locked chest carved with serpent motifs. The scouts brought this from the borderlands 3 nights past. It reeks of black serpent venom. Inside lay letters, Qilin script accusing dragons of sabotage, dragon seals ordering raids on Qilin granaries. Li Wei lifted a parchment, his nose wrinkling at the acrid stench. Forged. The ink is laced with serpent poison. Even a novice would smell it. Ying Yu nodded, her voice lowering. But who would believe us? Fear blinds the clans. They see only shadows. A distant clang echoed, armored footsteps. Ying Yu shoved Li Wei behind a tapestry as 2 stormcallers passed, their voices sharp with battle fever. Mobilize at dawn. The Qilin won't know what struck them. When the coast cleared, Li Wei gripped Ying Yu's arm. Help me stop this. Her scar twitched. I've survived 1 war. I'll not bleed for another. She pressed a key into his palm. The eastern gate is unguarded at midnight. Go. And don't die heroically, it's tedious. At dawn, Li Wei descended to the Whispering Woods, the forged letters hidden beneath his cloak. Rain soaked his hair as he waited beneath the sentinel tree, its once vibrant leaves now speckled with black rot. The air hummed with decay. Mei Lin arrived like a ghost, her ivory robes mud-splattered, eyes red-rimmed. My father's council votes for war at noon, she whispered, her voice breaking. They found dragon arrows in our fields. Children are falling ill from tainted streams. Li Wei thrust the letters into her hands. Black Serpent forgeries. The venom in the ink, it's the same poison killing your crops. Mei Lin's fingers trembled as she traced the Qilin seal. We have to show them. If the chiefs see this, they'll call it another trick. Li Wei gripped her shoulders, his touch gentle despite the urgency. Sun has spies everywhere. We need proof he can't deny. Something undeniable. A twig snapped. They spun, but the woods lay still, save for a lone raven perched above, its eyes glowing faintly green. In the obsidian marsh, Lord Sun watched through the raven's eyes as the lovers plotted. The Hundan's altar pulsed beneath his palm, its void stone warm with stolen secrets. Beside him, Jean, his brother, stood rigid, the white tiger dagger hidden in his sleeve digging into his wrist. "Fools," Sun murmured, stroking the raven's feathers. "Let them expose us. Let them think they've won. Then, when their hope burns brightest." He crushed the bird in his fist. Shadow swallowed its dying screech, tendrils of darkness curling around his fingers like adoring serpents. Jean turned away, nausea rising. "Is this necessary?" The clans already tear at each other's throats. Sun's smile was a knife. "Necessary? No. Delicious." Back in the Qilin Valley, Lin burst into her father's council chamber, the forged letters clutched to her chest. "The Black Serpents are behind the blight." "Look," Chief Yuan seized the parchment. His eyes narrowed, then blazed. "You consort with dragons and dare bring their lies into my hall?" "It's not a lie," Lin pleaded, her voice cracking. "The venom, smell it. The Black Serpents want us to destroy each other." A Qilin elder stepped forward, his face gaunt from nights spent purging poisoned wells. "Princess, the dragons have twisted your mind. They steal our food, our magic. And now our heir." "No." Lin recoiled as guards advanced, their terraforming staves glowing ominously. "Father, please." Chief Yuan turned away, his voice hollow. "Confine her to her chambers. At dawn, we march." Li Wei returned to find the Skyhold in chaos. Stormcallers armed themselves with tempest bows, their eyes alight with battle fever. In the armory, blacksmiths hammered storm steel into blades, while scribes etched war sigils onto shields. "Where have you been?" Dragon Chief Long boomed, blocking his path. Gathering proof of Sun's treachery, Li Wei said, refusing to flinch. His father's gauntlet flashed. Pain exploded across Li Wei's cheek as he fell, blood mingling with rainwater. "Treachery?" Chief Long loomed over him, lightning crackling in his palm. "The only treachery is your weakness. You will lead the vanguard, or die as a traitor." Deep in the forest, Míng stirred in his sleep. The barrier around Granny Land's hut flickered, its golden light dimming as shadows pressed closer, whispering of storms and blood. "Hush, child," Lan murmured, her voice fraying. She lit a bundle of sage, its smoke weaving feeble wards. "Hashia de Haizi, ni de Mingjiang Baoqi women Anchuan." "Child of harmony, your dreams will keep us safe." But the shadow slithered under the door, coalescing into a serpent's grin. "We see you." The council hall trembled as Chief Yuan's terraforming staff struck the stone table, fracturing it into jagged shards. Morning light streamed through arched windows, illuminating the faces of the Qilin elders, lined with exhaustion, fear, and fury. Lin stood at the chamber's center, her ivory robe stained with mud from her frantic ride back to the valley, Li Wei's dragon pendant burning against her chest like a brand. "The dragons starve us with blight and lies." Chief Yuan's voice echoed off the jade-inlaid walls, his normally stoic face contorted with rage. "They poison our wells, scorch our fields, and now they dare claim innocence?" Lin stepped forward, her boots crunching over shattered stone. "Father, it's not the dragons. The Black Serpents forged those letters, their venom taints everything." She thrust the parchment toward him, the acrid stench of serpent poison clinging to the ink. Elder Wen, a stooped woman with eyes like cracked amber, snatched the letter. She inhaled sharply, then recoiled. This reeks of obsidian marsh. Murmurs rippled through the council. Lies, roared Elder Gua, his terraforming staff slamming the floor. Vines erupted from the cracks, thorns bristling. The dragon sent you to sow discord, princess. How else would you possess their heir's trinket? His gaze dropped to the dragon pendant at her throat. Mei Lin's hand flew to the pendant, her cheeks flushing. Li Wei and I sought peace, something this council has forgotten. Chief Yuan's staff glowed, roots snaking around Mei Lin's ankles. You shame your lineage. Guards, confine her. Beyond the council chambers, the Qilin Valley choked on decay. Farmers knelt in blighted fields, their hands buried in soil that crumbled like ash. Children coughed into blood-speckled cloths, their skin pallid from poisoned streams. At the valley's edge, Ying Yu, Mei Lin's sharp-tongued handmaiden, hurried through the crowds, a basket of medicinal herbs clutched to her chest. Princess Mei Lin was right, a farmer whispered, grabbing her arm. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow. The dragons didn't do this. I've seen shadows in the wells, serpent shapes. Ying Yu pried his hand away. Tell that to the elders. They won't listen. But you're her shadow. Make them listen. Before she could reply, war horns blared, a deep, mournful sound that rolled across the valley like thunder. In the storm-lashed skyhold, Li Wei knelt in the training yard, his wrists bound by chains of living lightning. Rain lashed his bare back as dragon storm callers circled him, their tempest bows crackling with disdain. Traitor, spat his cousin Kai Feng, tightening the chains with a flick of his wrist. You'd side with leaf eaters over your own blood? Li Wei gritted his teeth as the electricity seared his skin. I side with truth. Dragon Chief Long watched from the balcony, his storm gray robes billowing. Truth is what the strong decree. And today, you will learn strength. He nodded to Kai Feng. The stormcaller grinned, raising his bow, but a tremor interrupted him. The skyhold shuddered, lightning chains snapping as the entire fortress listed violently. Qilin Earthshakers. A scout screamed. They breached the western ridge. In the obsidian marsh, Lord Sun reclined on a throne of petrified roots, sipping wine from a goblet carved from a human skull. Before him, a pool of black water rippled, reflecting the chaos in the Qilin Valley and Dragon Skyhold. Beautiful, isn't it? He purred to Jean, who stood rigid at his side. Fear is an art, brother. And today, I paint in blood. Jin's hand twitched toward his hidden dagger. The White Tiger clan once stood for balance. We were guardians, not butchers. Sun's laughter was a serpent's hiss. Guardians starve. King's feast. He tossed a rotting peach into the pool. Watch closely. The hybrid child's time nears. Mei Lin paced her chamber, the dragon pendant clenched in her fist. Outside, war drums pulsed like a fevered heartbeat. She froze as the door creaked open. Ying Yu slipped inside, her face pale. The elders march at dawn, she whispered, pressing a stolen key into Mei Lin's hand. They'll raise the dragon skyhold to cinders. Mei Lin's heart lurched. Li Wei? Alive. For now. Ying Yu hesitated. There's more. The blight. It's spreading to people. A child in the eastern village sprouted black scales. They're calling it the serpent's curse. Horror quailed in Mei Lin's chest. Sun's venom. I have to stop this. You'll die. Then I die fighting. Deep in the forest, Granny Lon slumped against the hut's door, her breath ragged. The barrier flickered, its golden light dimming as shadows clawed at the edges. Inside, Míng huddled under a quilt, his nightmares a tempest of serpentine whispers and dying screams. "Stay strong, little sprout," Lan murmured, though her magic waned. She pressed her palm to the floor, channeling the last of her chi into the wards, but the shadows slithered closer, their voices merging into a single taunt. "We see you." Dawn came too soon. In the Qilin Valley, Earthshakers assembled, their staves glowing as they fractured the earth into jagged spikes. Archers lined the ridges, arrows tipped with venomous thorns. Chief Yuan stood atop the sentinel stone, now blackened and cracked, and raised his staff. "For our children. For our honor." The valley roared. In the dragon's skyhold, Li Wei struggled against his chains as storm callers mounted tempest serpents. Dragon Chief Long's voice boomed across the storm-racked sky. "Crush the Qilin. Let their valleys drown in rain." And in the obsidian marsh, Sun smiled. The forest wept. Rain lashed the canopy of ancient oaks, their gnarled branches clawing at a sky bruised purple and black. The whispering woods, once a sanctuary of birdsong and dappled sunlight, had turned hostile. Shadows coiled like serpents in the undergrowth, and the air reeked of iron and damp earth. Deep within the grove, where even the bravest Qilin hunters dared not tread, a small hut stood cloaked in ivy and shadow. Granny Lan paced its cramped interior, her arthritic hands trembling as she tossed dried sage into a brazier. Smoke curled into the shape of protective runes, their golden glow barely piercing the gloom. "Hurry, child," she muttered to the storm, her milky eyes fixed on the roiling clouds. "Or this old bone's wards won't save you." Mei Lin stumbled through the undergrowth, her breath ragged, hands cradling the swell of her belly. 9 moons had passed since the war horns drowned her pleas for peace. 9 moons since she'd last seen Li Wei's face. Her ivory robes hung in tatters, the dragon pendant at her throat crusted with blood, not hers, but the Black Serpent scouts she'd slain days ago. His final words haunted her, "The child will be ours." The forest floor squelched beneath her boots, mud seeping into the gashes left by thorns and serpent blades. Every contraction sent fire lancing through her ribs. She clutched a tree for support, bark biting into her palm, and glanced back. Shadows shifted in the mist, too fluid, too deliberate. "They're close." A howl split the air, raw and guttural. Not a wolf. Not natural. Shadow hounds. Sun's hunters. "Granny." Mei Lin collapsed against the hut's door, her knuckles white on the rusted handle. The old woman yanked her inside, slamming the door shut. "Fool girl. The barrier's weak enough without your racket." Thunder shook the grove. Through the downpour, a figure staggered into view, Li Wei, his storm-forged armor rent by serpent fangs, blood mingling with rain. He fell to his knees at the threshold, his storm-gray eyes dimming. "They're coming," he rasped, clutching a gash on his shoulder where the flesh blackened with venom. 12 scouts. Maybe more. Mei Lin dropped beside him, her hands glowing faintly with Qilin earth magic. She pressed them to his wound, coaxing poisoned blood to the surface. "You shouldn't have followed." He gripped her wrist, his touch feverish. "Our son deserves a father." His smile was a ghost. Even a dying one. Granny Lan cursed, hauling him inside. "Save your dramatics. I didn't smuggle moonflower balm for decades to let a pup like you die." She shoved a clay vial into his hands. "Drink. It'll slow the venom. For now." As night deepened, Granny Lan worked. She painted warding sigils in ash and crushed jade around the hut, her voice rising in a reedy incantation. The air shimmered, threads of golden light weaving into an invisible dome. Outside, the shadowhounds snarled, their claws scrabbling at the barrier. "It won't hold long," Lon warned, eyeing the venom creeping up Li Wei's neck. "That serpent bites a beacon." Sun's drawn to pain like a vulture. Mei Lin knelt beside Li Wei, her hands trembling as another contraction seized her. "Why risk this? The clans think you dead." "Dead men don't dream," he whispered. "And I dreamt of him." His calloused hand settled on her belly. "Storm and stone. He'll change everything." A howl echoed, closer now. The barrier flickered. Granny Lon barked orders. "Boil water. Tear those robes for cloth. And you," she shoved a mortar of herbs at Li Wei. "Crush these. Unless you prefer she birth a warrior and a corpse." Hours blurred. Mei Lin's world narrowed to pain and the press of Li Wei's hand in hers. Sweat drenched her brow as she braced against the hut's wall, her screams muffled by thunder. Outside, the barrier groaned under shadowy assaults, serpent scouts testing its edges. "Now!" Granny Lon commanded. With a final, primal scream, Mei Lin pushed. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the hut, and the child that slid into Lan's waiting hands. Míng did not cry at first. His eyes, one storm gray, the other earthy amber, blinked at the world with eerie calm. Scales glimmered along his spine like mother of pearl, and antler-shaped birthmarks glowed faintly on his temples. Then the storm stilled, as if the heavens themselves held their breath. The rain ceased. The winds died. And Ming's first cry, clear and bright as a temple bell, shattered the silence. The barrier flared, then dimmed. Golden threads frayed as shadowhounds hurled themselves against it, fangs dripping void-black saliva. "They'll regroup at dawn," Li Wei said, his voice steadier now that Mei Lin's magic had purged the venom. He cradled Míng, wonder softening his warrior's face. "We need to move." Granny Lon spat into the fire. "Move where?" "The Qilin call her traitor. The dragons call you corpse." "And the serpents?" She gestured to the shadows beyond the grove. "They'll raise continents to claim that child." Mei Lin touched Ming's scales, her tears falling freely. "Then we hide him. Let the world forget." "The world will forget," Lon said grimly. She pressed a jade pendant, carved with Qilin and dragon entwined, into Ming's tiny fist. "But first, we survived tonight." As Li Wei kept watch, Mei Lin sang the lullaby her mother had once whispered, a song of earth and sky, now laced with sorrow. "Hexie de Haizi, ni de Mingjiang Baoqi women Anquan. Child of harmony, your dreams will keep us safe." Outside, the forest held its breath. The serpents circled, their whispers slithering through the trees. "Give us the hybrid." Li Wei tightened his grip on his dagger. "Never." Far away, in the obsidian marsh, Lord Sun reclined on a throne of petrified roots. The raven perched on his shoulder twitched, its eyes reflecting the dying barrier's glow. "He's born," Sun purred, stroking the bird's feathers. Storm and stone, hatred and hope, all in one fragile vessel. Jean, his brother, stood rigid nearby. "This is madness, Sun. That child is innocent." "Innocence?" Sun's laughter slithered through the marsh. "Innocence is a weakness. The hybrid will learn that. Or perish." Dawn approached, gray and tentative. In the hut, Míng slept, his tiny fingers curled around the jade pendant. Mei Lin leaned against Li Wei, exhaustion etching her face. "We name him Míng," she whispered. "For the legacy he must carve." Li Wei kissed her brow. "And protect." But beyond the grove, the shadows stirred. The hunt had only begun. Jade Valley had once been a sacred meeting ground for the clans, a place where Qilin Earthweavers and Dragon Stormcallers collaborated to nurture the land. Terraced fields of golden grain and crystal-clear streams had shimmered under the sun. Now, the valley was a charnel house. The earth trembled under the wrath of Qilin Earthshakers, their staves fracturing the ground into jagged ravines. Dragon Stormriders rode tempests of lightning and hail, their war cries drowned out by the thunderous roar of collapsing stone. Smoke choked the air, mingling with the metallic tang of blood. At the valley's heart, Mei Lin and Li Wei fought back to back, their breaths sinking in desperate harmony. Mei Lin's terraforming staff glowed with jade light as she summoned roots to ensnare a dragon warrior mid-charge. Li Wei's storm-forged blade crackled with lightning, deflecting a volley of Qilin arrows tipped with paralytic thorns. Their love was a fragile beacon in the chaos, a fleeting defiance against the tide of hatred. "This is Sun's doing." Mei Lin shouted over the din, her voice raw. "Our clans are slaughtering each other for his amusement." Li Wei parried a strike from a Qilin guard, his storm-gray eyes flashing. "Then we end this now. Find your father." A fissure split the earth between them, forcing them apart. On the eastern ridge, Chief Yuan rallied his forces, his terraforming staff pulsing with furious energy. His once impeccable robes were stained with ash and blood, his face a mask of grief and rage, for every child poisoned by their venom. He roared, driving his staff into the ground. A tidal wave of stone erupted, crushing a dragon's siege engine. For every field they'd blighted. "Hold the line." Qilin archers loosed volleys of thorned arrows, their tips dripping with sap that paralyzed on contact. Dragon Stormriders retaliated, hurling bolts of lightning that ignited the valley's dry grass. Fire spread like a ravenous beast, devouring tents, banners, and bodies alike. "Fall back." Chief Yuan ordered, but his command was swallowed by the cacophony. From the smoke emerged shadows, Black Serpent assassins, their scales blending with the ash. They moved like liquid night, silent and lethal. Mei Lin's heart lurched as one lunged at her father, dagger aimed for his heart. "No." Li Wei's lightning intercepted the strike, but two more assassins materialized. A blade flashed. Chief Yuan staggered, a serpent dagger buried in his throat. Time fractured. Mei Lin's scream tore through the battlefield. Her staff clattered to the ground as she sprinted toward him, but Li Wei grabbed her waist, hauling her behind a crumbling boulder. Arrows rained around them, thudding into the earth like deadly rain. "Let me go." She clawed at his arms, her vision blurred by tears. "He's my father. And you're his heir." Li Wei shouted, shaking her. "If you die here, Sun wins." A shadow loomed, a Black Serpent assassin, dagger raised. Li Wei shoved Mei Lin aside, taking the blade through his ribs. "Li Wei." He collapsed into her arms, blood blooming across his storm-forged armor. The assassin melted into the chaos, leaving Mei Lin cradling him in the mud. "Why?" She sobbed, her earth magic flaring uselessly against the venom blackening his veins. "You swore you wouldn't leave me." His hand found her cheek, his touch featherlight. "Protect." "Míng. Don't you dare." She pressed her forehead to his, her tears mingling with the rain. "Stay with me." Li Wei's storm-gray eyes dimmed. "I'll wait." In the storm, his hand fell. The heavens weren't burning, they were mourning, King Zhu's war chariot tore through the smoke-choked sky, its twin firebirds shrieking a dirge only phoenixes could sing. Their molten gold feathers shed embers that fell like weeping stars upon the valley of jade bones below, where the dead lay so thick they formed new topography. Rib cages became hills. Broken spears grew like reeds in a blood-fed marsh. At Zhu's side, Princess Lian, 5 years old, clutched his armored sleeve with hands still dimpled with baby fat. Ash settled in her black braids like premature gray. She didn't blink when a severed Qilin banner wrapped around their chariot wheel, its azure silk now black with gore. "Baba," she whispered, pointing. Mei Lin knelt amidst the wreckage, her ivory robes now the color of regret. In her arms, Li Wei's corpse, his scholar's hands folded over the killing wound in his chest. The pyre she'd built from shattered shields cast her face in hell's own flickering light. Zhu's throat closed. Another parent. Another child gone starlight. Prince Xing, 22, fought like a comet determined to burn out gloriously. His phoenix-winged armor, once resplendent, now hung in tatters, the left pauldron sheared off by a serpent's blade. Behind him, the royal caravan burned, its painted lacquer melting like tears. Xingij, the shriek cut through battle's roar. Little Lian, barely 2, trapped in the wreckage. Her tiny fists beat against the smoking wood of her overturned cradle, the wooden phoenix toy he'd carved for her still clutched in her grip. A shadow moved. The Black Serpent assassin emerged like smoke-given form, his dagger dripping jade venom, a poison that killed so slowly, victims could count their own heartbeats stopping. The blade arced toward Lian's heart, and Xing moved. The dagger punched through his chest plate with a sound like cracking ice. He didn't scream. Didn't falter. Just wrapped his body around Lian's, his shattered wings, once bright as dawn, now curling over her like a dying star's last corona. Mei Lin's glare could have melted iron. "You let your son die. Why should I trust you with mine?" Zhu knelt, the stench of Li Wei's pyre clinging to his robes. From his sleeve, he drew Xing's pendant, the crack now filled with gold, like astronomers repairing a constellation. "My son became starlight to save her. Your Míng must live to justify that sacrifice." Lian stepped forward, her own tiny hand pressing the wooden phoenix into Mei Lin's palm. Xingij said, "Brave people protect others." The toy was warm, Mei Lin's resolve shattered like ice under a hammer. General Baizha, White Tiger leader, sharpened his dao with methodical strokes, his missing eye, lost to a serpent's blade years prior, hidden under a leather patch. "You gamble on a storm child because you failed your star prince." Zhu didn't flinch. He pointed to the heavens where the first stars pierced the twilight. "Xing's light still guides us. Will you follow it?" Bai's remaining eye flicked to Lian, quietly mimicking her brother's battle stance, the cracked pendant glowing faintly at her throat. "For the boy who shone brighter than his father," Bai growled, sheathing his blade. The Whispering Woods earned its name. Every step stirred voices in the wind, Xing's laugh, Lian's forgotten nursery rhymes, the last words of the dead. Shadowhounds lunged from the gloom, their eyes the same venom green as the dagger that had killed the prince. "Run!" Zhu barked. Lian ran, the pendant's light painting her path like a comet's tail. Behind her, Bai's tigers fell one by one, their blood-watering blighted roots. Granny Lan's hut trembled under the assault. Inside, Míng, 4 years old, cowered, his heterochromatic eyes, one storm gray, one amber, wide with terror. The wards on the walls flickered like dying fireflies. Then, Lian burst through the door, Xing's pendant flaring vermilion. "I'm here." The moment Míng touched the jade light, a supernova tore through the hut, vaporizing serpent's mid-lunge. When the glare faded, only the children remained, Lien's arms wrapped around Míng, their combined shadows forming a phoenix-winged silhouette on the wall. Dawn bled across the Vermilion Palace's highest balcony. Below, a single peach blossom sprouted from Jade Valley's ashes. Is Shingij really a star now? Lien asked, swinging her legs over the edge. Zhu's voice broke. Yes. And stars never truly fade, they wait for us to remember their light. Somewhere in the obsidian marsh, Lord Sun crushed a star-shaped jade token in his fist, the twin to Xing's pendant.
Step into a world of ancient clans, celestial magic, and untold legends. Your imagination holds the brush, paint the next chapter. Will you dare to dream? This scroll has waited centuries for you. The ancient clans whisper their secrets, but only subscribers will hear them fully. Will you answer the dragon's call? Subscribe now to awaken the legend sleeping between these lines. The story changes based on who's watching. Every legend needs believers. With your like, this phoenix feather burns brighter, your spark feeds the eternal fire. 1,000 likes. The Vermilion clan reveals their forbidden flame technique. 5,000. Will extinguish the screen in living wildfire. Press like if you dare stand in the heat. The Qilin asks, what destiny would you choose? Dragon Storm Rider. Vermilion Fire Weaver. Comment your clan allegiance below, the most voted faction gets an exclusive scene next week. Will your words shape the grove's magic? PS comment Jade Pact for a secret Qilin blessing. The tale unfolds with you. Subscribe to walk the path, like to light the way, and comment to carve your name into legend.